The surest path to getting elite NHL talent runs through the very top of the draft order. And for the Vancouver Canucks, that means embracing the hard truth of a painful, disciplined rebuild. But discipline doesn't necessarily mean standing still. Great teams find shortcuts, not by sacrificing their future, but by taking calculated risks on high pedigree players whose value has essentially bottomed out. We're talking about the next Marcus Naslund, the next Sam Bennett. The list goes on. This is Trade Target's 10 buy low risks for the Vancouver Canucks.
Power play goal. Elias. Anderson. D.T. Miller scores.
Worked it free from Henderson. Got it to Messer in front. Backhander scores. The puck back in. Campoli trying to clear it. Burrows is pressed. Caught the puck loose to Edwards. Back in for Alex Burrows. It's up in the air. And now McKinnon to the side. No! With the left glove. Are you kidding me? What a save.
Hey, Canucks Nation. Brandon Alston here, play-by-play for the Edmonton Canucks. You've got it locked on the line change, the Vancouver Canucks podcast.
What's up, Canuck fans, Canuck Nation? Welcome to the Line Change, a Vancouver Canucks podcast. Now, rebuilding is a necessity, but it comes with a very real cost in terms of organizational culture and fan investment. While the Canucks must proceed with uncharacteristic discipline, avoiding the age gap trades that have repeatedly burned through this Vancouver Canucks draft capital, and a disciplined approach shouldn't be a passive one. Along the way of most successful retools, the team takes a calculated risk or two on high potential skaters at a low ebb in their value. Think about the Florida Panthers with Sam Bennett. It's about rolling the dice on players who can realize their potential with a fresh start. More opportunity than what they've earned with their previous organization. Sam Bennett is a perfect example of that, moving from Calgary to the Florida Panthers, and now look at him. 2-time Stanley Cup champion, and he was the winner of the Conn Smythe just this past season. Here are 10 reclamation projects for the Canucks to consider. Now, this list is coming to us by way of an article over on The Athletic, co-written by Thomas Drance and friend of the podcast, Harman Dial. I will leave a link to it in the description down below. It is behind a paywall, so I'm giving you guys the full-on details right here. But first up, we have Alexis Lafreniere, someone who we talked about on this channel in the past. Since being picked number 1 in 2020, Lafreniere has struggled to live up to his promise, pacing for fewer than 50 points for the 5th time in 6 seasons. And New York Rangers fans will probably even agree with me. He just hasn't lived up to the hype at all. He's kind of seems like he's been a bit of a bust for someone who was picked first overall nearly 6 years ago. He hasn't shown that he's the Bedard caliber player or the Celebrini. I know that's probably a bit of an unfair comparison, comparing him to Bedard and Celebrini, but he was a first overall pick, and you would think he would at least become somewhat close to that level, and he hasn't in 6 years of playing in the NHL, and he's still pretty young too. Yet, his underlying performance suggests better results. His defensive impact has spiked this season, and a career-low shooting percentage has suppressed his 5-on-5 goal scoring. He still has a credible path to developing into a difference maker, and if the Rangers are truly retooling, he's a gamble worth taking, even as a primary piece in a larger trade for one of Vancouver's expensive veterans, although the Rangers do have their fair share of veterans themselves. And apparently, Patrick Allvin is really high on this guy and really wants him, apparently. But let's go ahead and take a look at Lafreniere's stats before we move on to the next one. So as you can see here, and we'll just look at his NHL stats. So his first NHL season, 21 points in 56 games, 12 goals, 9 assists. His second, so I guess technically his actual rookie season, he had 31 points in 79 games, 19 goals, 12 assists. That was, when you look at that, looks pretty decent for a second year NHLer or first year NHLer, whichever one you want to call it. considering he played 56 games in the 2020-2021 season. And then you had 22-23 where he had 39 points in 81 games. So he upped it, only 16 goals and 23 assists. Following year, which was so far has been his best season with the Rangers in 23-24, where he had 57 points in 82 games, 28 goals, 29 assists. And as I mentioned, that has been his, best season with the New York Rangers. And I would say as of right now, that's his ceiling so far. 24-25, he had 45 points in 82 games, 17 goals, 28 assists. So his goals were down from the prior year. And then this year, he's got 32 points in 57 games, 12 goals, 20 assists. Right now, he's projected to finish with 46 points, 17 goals, 29 assists in 82 games. One thing I will give Lafreniere, he is durable. As you can see, 79 games or 57 games in his first season, 79 the year after, 81, 82, 82, 57, and he's projected to play all 82 games this season. So I do like the durability of Lafreniere, and perhaps, like we mentioned, perhaps maybe he just needs a change of scenery to unlock that, potential, and perhaps he could emerge as what we hoped he would be, being a first overall draft pick. Now, let's move on to the next one, where we're going to be talking about, and apologies if I mispronounce his name, Ville Heinola, a left shot defenseman from the Winnipeg Jets. Heinola, who is a 2019 first rounder, has one of the oddest development stories, marred by injury and a consistent lack of opportunity in Winnipeg. Now 24 years old, the window for a top four role is likely closed, but he is a slick puck handler with offensive upside. Given the Jets' history of giving up on defenders who succeed elsewhere, Heinola could carve out a role as a capable depth option. Signing him to a low-cost one-year deal to compete for a number 7 or number 8 defender role next fall is a move worth making. He could essentially replace P.O. Joseph. Now let's take a look at Heinola's stats real quick, just so you guys can see who he is and his stats. Again, we'll just focus on the more recent and the NHL stats. 2019-2020, his first NHL season. Granted, he only played 8 games, but he had 5 points in 8 games. You look at that and you go, that's pretty good for a rookie, in that small sample size. In 2020-2021, he played 5 games, did not get a point, but he did have 11 points in 19 games in the AHL with the Manitoba Moose. Moving forward to 21-22, 12 games, 5 points in the NHL. Again, yet another small sample size. And then he had 26 points in 41 games with the Manitoba Moose that season, or that year rather. 22-23 with the Jets, 10 games, 1 point. Again, struggling at the NHL level. And then he goes back down to the AHL and has 37 points in 48 games with the Moose. He ends up starting the 23-24 season in the AHL and racks up 27 points in 41 games, 10 goals, 17 assists. And then he comes back up to the NHL, 1 point in 18 games. Once again, finds himself back down in the AHL, only plays 2 games with 1 point. And so far this year, he's been stuck in the AHL, playing for the Manitoba Moose, where he has 19 points in 42 games. He's projected to finish with 32 points in 72 games, 3 goals and 29 assists. So obviously he's kind of struggled at the NHL level. Personally, I'm not really big on, getting a defenseman. I think the Canucks are kind of stockpiled on defensemen with the likes of, Tom Willander, DPD, Kirill Kudryavtsev. And I just think there's a bit of a logjam when it comes to defensemen. Granted, they're likely going to be losing Tyler Myers perhaps next year or the year after and are going to need to replenish. But they also have some defensemen in their system already. So I'm a bit against getting a defenseman in a trade. I would much prefer them getting a forward. But again, that is just my own personal opinion. But let's move on to the next player, where it is Isaac Rosen, who's a right winger from the Buffalo Sabres. Rosen is a classic buy low candidate. The 22-year-old winger has produced at a very impressive clip in the AHL, but has struggled to find a regular NHL role, as he's a bit perimeter oriented and redundant in Buffalo's deep forward system. The Canucks can be patient and offer the opportunities that simply won't exist in Buffalo. He feels like a sharp profile bet for somebody to acquire in the weeks and months to come. Let's take a look at Rosen's stats. As you can see, that first season in the AHL 22-23, 37 points in 66 games, 14 goals, 23 assists, not too shabby. His, rookie season in the NHL 23-24, 7 games played with Buffalo, did not have any points. But with the Rochester Americans in that same season, he had 50 points in 67 games, 20 goals, 30 assists. That kind of leaps out at me seeing that. Granted, I know it's the AHL and it's a lot different compared to the NHL. In 24-25 with the Buffalo Sabres, he had 1 point in 8 games. So last season, that same season with the Rochester Americans in the AHL, he had 55 points in 61 games, 28 goals, 27 assists. And then this year with the Buffalo Sabres, he has 7 points in 16 games, 3 goals, 4 assists. And then with the Rochester Americans, he has 37 points in 30 games, 24 goals, 13 assists. And he's projected to finish with 71 points in the AHL, 46 goals, 25 assists in just 57 games. So this is a perfect example, as we mentioned, of a classic buy low candidate. And hey, this is definitely someone who I am intrigued and interested in. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you guys like the idea of Isaac Rosen? And here's the kicker. He's Swedish, as you can see. So another Swede. I know a lot of people have been talking about, the fact now that we have Lekkerimäki and Liam Ogren, there's a certain somebody else on the Buffalo Sabres, a certain Noah Ostlund, that some Canuck fans have been saying Canucks should try and go out and get him and reunite Ogren, Lekkerimäki, and Ostlund. Apparently, that is a trio that played together. I believe it was in Europe, and all three of them are friends, and perhaps that chemistry could be used for the Vancouver Canucks. Just an idea. Let me know what you guys think about that idea of the Canucks maybe, instead of maybe Rosen, maybe seeing if they can try and get Ostlund from the Buffalo Sabres. But once again, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Moving on, we have Marco Kasper. Now, obviously, we've heard Kasper's name when it comes to the Canucks, mainly prior to and around the Quinn Hughes trade. Supposedly, the Canucks were interested in Kasper as well as Nate Danielson, and actually, the Red Wings kind of rebuffed the Canucks offering Quinn Hughes to them, but them wanting either Danielson or Kasper in return. And the Red Wings just weren't willing to part with that. And also, I believe the Red Wings wanted an extension done like right away. They wanted it locked in that there would be a extension. And that's kind of what fell through. And apparently Quinn Hughes wanted to go to Detroit. So, but the Red Wings probably aren't ready to move their 2022, bit of a tongue twister, 8th overall pick, but his brutal sophomore slump, just 13 points in 57 games, makes this a situation to monitor. Detroit has a surplus of middle six centers. Kasper is a heavy, gritty forward with a high motor, words that we've heard before, and his two-way metrics are very healthy. The slump is largely due to bad luck, scoring on just 6.5% of his shots, which should rebound. The Canucks should most certainly keep tabs on him. Let's take a look at Kasper and his stats. We mentioned him having a brutal sophomore slump, but as you can see, one game in 22-23 with the Red Wings, did not collect a point. So we will obviously forget about that one. With the Grand Rapids Griffins in the AHL, 35 points in 71 games, 14 goals, 21 assists. Although he had 7 points in 9 games in that playoff run. 24-25 with the Detroit Red Wings, 37 points in 77 games, 19 goals, 18 assists for his rookie season. The Grand Rapids Griffins that same season, 2 points in 2 games. And then moving down to this year with the Detroit Red Wings, only 13 points in 57 games. As we mentioned, 6 goals and 7 assists. He is projected to finish with 19 points in 81 games, 9 goals and 10 assists. So obviously, like we mentioned, sophomore slump. I know I wouldn't be too worried about, this slump. I see him breaking out of it, but he is also a, potential candidate that the Canucks should, as we mentioned, most certainly keep tabs on. And hey, positive as well, he's a center as well. So definitely keep tabs on Marco Kasper. But moving on, we got Cole Perfetti, a right winger from the Winnipeg Jets. I'm actually very high on Cole Perfetti, and I absolutely love this idea of us possibly targeting Cole Perfetti. After a dynamic 24-25 campaign, Perfetti's scoring has been pedestrian in a crumbling Jets offensive environment. His path coming off a contentious bridge contract negotiation makes him a highly likely RFA casualty, while his skating is a limiting factor. He's a high-character, slick playmaker who could potentially be a star if thrust into a larger role on a first power play unit. Let's go ahead and take a look at Perfetti's stats here. So looking all the way down to his first NHL season in 21-22, 7 points in 18 games, 2 goals, 5 assists. With the Moose, the Manitoba Moose of the AHL that same season, 15 points in 17 games, 6 goals, 9 assists. In 22-23, his sophomore season, you could say, with the Winnipeg Jets, 30 points in 51 games, 8 goals and 22 assists. In 23-24, 38 points in 71 games, 19 goals, 19 assists. And then just last season, he had 50 points in 82 games, 18 goals, and 32 assists. So far, that has been his breakout season. And you could say that is his ceiling up until this point. This year, bit of a different story, 18 points in 42 games, 6 goals, and 12 assists. He is projected to finish with 29 points in 68 games, 10 goals, 19 assists. Again, I'm a big fan of Cole Perfetti. I do think he could use a change of scenery, and I do think he could help this Canucks team in the future if the Canucks were to target him and if he were to become available and if the Jets were even to let him go. But moving on, let's talk about Fedor Svechkov. Svechkov, not Svechnikov, just so we're clear, who is a centerman from the Nashville Predators. The 2021 first-rounder caught our attention with his smart, jack-of-all-trades game as a rookie, despite a sophomore slump with only 9 points. He has driven a 53% expected goal share. His bottom-line production is suppressed by his scoring on just 2% of his shots, so that's not looking pretty good. Nashville's incoming prospect depth could make this valuable bottom-six center potentially available. Let's take a look at Svechkov's stats. Starting from 23-24, looking at his first AHL season, he had 39 points in 57 games, 16 goals and 23 assists. His first season with the Nashville Predators, 17 points in 52 games, 8 goals, 9 assists, which is not too shabby for a rookie. That same season with the Milwaukee Admirals in the AHL, he had 12 points in 13 games, 5 goals, 7 assists. And then this year with the Nashville Predators, he has 9 points in 49 games, 2 goals, 7 assists. So obviously a major step down from that first year in the NHL. And with the Admirals, he has 1 point in 3 games. And he is projected to finish with 11 points in 32 games with the Admirals and just projected to finish at 11 goals. So perhaps, like we keep mentioning, he could use a change of scenery to try and help, boost him. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about Fedor Svechkov. Moving on, we have two defensemen that we're going to be looking at, Ethan Del Mastro and Kevin Korchinski, both left-handed shot defensemen from the Chicago Blackhawks. And the Blackhawks have built a tremendous surplus of young talent on their defensive core. Both Del Mastro and Korchinski are intriguing young left-handed defenders. Del Mastro is a big-frame pedigree puck mover with every tool you could ask for from a 23-year-old. Korchinski, he's the more dynamic, recent top 10 pick. Either would be an intriguing, high-upside young trade target, especially if Chicago seeks to add one of Vancouver's expensive veterans to their forward group. Again, these are two defensemen. I'm not really big on acquiring defensemen, at least not right now. I'm more so focused on getting forwards, as I mentioned. But let's take a look at Del Mastro first. Starting with his 23-24 run with the Chicago Blackhawks, 2 games, no points. But his AHL season that same year, 37 points in 69 games, 7 goals, 30 assists. Last year with the Blackhawks, he had 6 points in 24 games, 2 goals, 4 assists. That same season with the Rockford IceHogs, he had 9 points in 47 games. And then this year with the Blackhawks, he has only played in 2 games and has not collected a point. But in the AHL, he has 17 points in 39 games, 2 goals and 15 assists. He is projected to finish with 28 points in 64 games, 3 goals and 25 assists. Let's take a look at Korchinski. Starting with the 23-24 season with the Blackhawks, 15 points in 76 games, 5 goals, 10 assists. Last season with the Chicago Blackhawks, he had 2 points in 16 games, 1 goal and 1 assist. With the Rockford IceHogs, that same season, he had 27 points in 56 games, 3 goals and 24 assists. So far this year with the Blackhawks, he has 1 point in 2 games. With the Rockford IceHogs, he has 23 points in 43 games, 2 goals and 21 assists. He is currently projected to finish with 36 points in 68 games in the AHL, 3 goals and 33 assists. Let's move on to our second to last one, Alex Turcotte, a center/left winger from the Los Angeles Kings. Former number 9 pick's early career was torpedoed by an endless barrage of injuries, including 2 concussions. Now healthy, he's an efficient two-way bottom 6 contributor who has won nearly 56% of his faceoffs this season. He hasn't been given a long leash by the Kings, but his profile suggests he could pop as a handy third liner if given a bigger role. Let's take a look at Turcotte's stats. So starting with his first season with the Ontario Reign in the AHL, he had 21 points in 32 games, 6 goals, 15 assists. His first season in the NHL saw him play 8 games, did not collect a point. That same season in the AHL, he had 18 points in 27 games, 6 goals and 12 assists. We mentioned his early career was torpedoed by injuries. So keep that in mind when looking at these earlier stats. 4 games in the 22-23 season, did not collect a point. 17 points in 32 games, 6 goals, 11 assists in that same AHL season with the Ontario Reign. He had 4 points in 20 games in 23-24, 1 goal, 3 assists. And with the Ontario Reign, he had 29 points in 35 games, 10 goals, and 19 assists. Last year with the LA Kings, he had 25 points in 68 games, 9 goals, and 16 assists. This year, he has 12 points in 49 games, 3 goals, 9 assists. And he's projected to finish with 19 points in 75 games, 5 goals, and 14 assists. I wouldn't mind Turcotte. Obviously, the whole having already sustained 2 concussions things has me a little worried. It's giving me kind of, Filipino vibes almost, even though it's only 2. But still, when you hear that a young player has sustained multiple concussions this early on in their career, it kind of brings up a bit of a red flag. But who knows, perhaps Turcotte could use a change of scenery, but I could potentially see him, as was mentioned, as a third line center for sure. And last but certainly not least, and apologies if I mispronounce this guy's name, Matthew Poitras, a center from the Boston Bruins, who is a legitimate center and a 2022 second-round pick who stunned the world by making the Bruins as a teenager. His development has stagnated, and the emergence of Fraser Minton, BC boy, and that may make him a monetizable asset for Boston. While he wouldn't be cheap, he is certainly the type of player the Canucks, could certainly use at the NHL level. So let's take a look at Poitras' stats. Starting, we'll take a look at his 21-22 season with the I don't know how to pronounce that, Gulf Storm. 50 points in 68 games in the OHL, 21 goals, 29 assists. The following season, he had 95 points in 63 games. So, wow, 16 goals, 79 assists. And you can see why he stunned the world by emerging as a teenager after having put up 95 points in the OHL prior to him being drafted. 15 points in 33 games. In 23-24 with the Boston Bruins, 5 goals, 10 assists. Obviously, that is pretty good for a rookie. But his sophomore season with the Boston Bruins, obviously a bit of a down. 11 points in 33 games, 1 goal, 10 assists. A little bit down, but still not that terrible. And then with the Providence Bruins that same season, 41 points in 40 games, 17 goals, 24 assists. So far this year, he has 1 point in 3 games with the Boston Bruins, which is a goal. And then with the Providence Bruins this season, he has 26 points in 41 games, 8 goals, and 18 assists. He is projected to finish with 43 points in 69 games, 13 goals, and 30 assists. Obviously, this is, as we mentioned, a legitimate center. But the question is, will the Bruins be willing to move him? No. Obviously, they have Fraser Minton. And imagine if Minton kind of goes on a bit of a slump or something like that. Could they maybe turn back to Matthew Poitras? I'm obviously not too familiar with the Bruins and their system, but could Poitras be a possible target for the Vancouver Canucks, considering they really need depth at center? And I think this could be someone that would really help out when it comes to that depth. Now, these 10 players represent the true path of a disciplined, rebuild, low-risk, high-reward bets on high pedigree talent. Let me know which of these names you'd like the Canucks to pursue most in the comments below. Is there someone that I didn't include that wasn't included on this list? Let me know who that is in the comments down below. I'd like to take this chance to thank my main and primary sponsor, none other than DraftKings Sportsbook, which is an official sports betting partner of the NHL. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player props and live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN, that's code THPN, to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois, 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario, restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which will expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. This is a limited time offer. Copyright 2026 NHL, all rights reserved. I'd like to thank my secondary sponsor, none other than Gassy Jack Art, maker of this amazing artwork you see right here in front of you. And you guys can check them out yourselves at gassyjackart.com. Now, this video has been a presentation of DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours, as well as the Hockey Podcast Network. Be sure to check out the network for your favorite podcast covering your favorite team at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com, the home of hockey podcasts, where it's every team, everywhere. If you enjoyed this breakdown of 10 reclamation projects that the Canucks should consider targeting, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and be sure to have your notifications turned on so you don't miss more in-depth analysis of the Vancouver Canucks. Also, a thank you to those who have purchased our official merchandise from our official merchandise store. And if you haven't, we are currently selling our 1-year anniversary collection. We do have some sales going on, so definitely check those out. Actually, our 1-year anniversary technically is this weekend, so definitely get them while you can. You can check them out at thelinechangepodcast.threadless.com. Also, if you want to be a part of the discussion, we can have more conversations and discussions, kind of like the one we had in this video. Join our official Discord. There was a link to it in the description down below. It is completely free to join, and you can talk to fellow Canuck fans in our community, and it's just a great space to just have discussions and conversations. Also, feel free to find and interact with us on social media. We're everywhere on socials: Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, even Blue Sky. Feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. Speaking of platforms, if you prefer an audio version of this podcast, you can find us on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. On Spotify, feel free to give us a follow as well as rate and review us. Also, if you had a favorite episode that you just want to listen to over and over again and can't get enough of, you can download your favorite episode. That really helps out the podcast, along with giving us a rate and review. Of course, it is greatly appreciative. And yeah, once again, drop your comments down below. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next line change.